Hello, I'm back. I know I said I wasn't going to make another video, but this video needs to be made. The name of this video is Doom and Gloom and Naysayers. Don't listen to people who ignore the forest for the trees. Now, this is a little video basically addressing, you'll hear several people in this community who say that the Wii U is doomed, the Wii U isn't selling well, the Wii U isn't doing well. That's not true. The Wii U has actually begun to pick up, okay? There are people who have been buying Super Mario 3D World and other games for the system that are picking it up because they see it's a viable option, okay? Now, will the Wii U ever approach the Wii sales? No. No, it won't. But do I feel that it's actually going to come into its own next year and the year after next? Yes, I do. And I'll tell you why with a brief set of introductions, a brief set of facts. The 3DS, when it first came out, wasn't doing very well. Yeah, it was outselling the Vita, but it wasn't doing ultra well. The reason why is because, first of all, its price. It was like $289 or something like that. It was kind of expensive, or maybe it was $250, $249, something like that. It was kind of expensive, and there wasn't a huge. But I mean, how expensive it wasn't the problem. There were practically no games for it. Okay, no games that really let you know that this is a new system. Now, the 3DS had some things going for it. First of all, it was backwards compatible. Second of all, it did have 3D games. And third of all, it still was cheaper than its competition, the Vita, at the time. Okay? Now, yeah, because the Vita was like $300 to $350 for depending on which model you got, and the 3DS was like $249. So, that's when the 3DS first came out. Then, there was a price drop after like 3 months, and they released The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D and a flood of other really good games for the 3DS. And the game was good. Okay, I got that game when I first got my 3DS. I got Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 for the 3DS. I played it. I wasn't too. I haven't enjoyed Street Fighter since Street Fighter 2, so I really could care less about Street Fighter 4. And I got Ocarina of Time 3D, and I played it. I beat it. I played the Master Quest, beat that too. But the 3DS turned around. It turned around. But what really began to make this system sell like gangbusters was the release of one game that started the tide to come back. And it was a little game called Super Mario 3D Land. That's right. It started the flood. Now, this game sold very well on 3DS. Not initially. Initially, much like 3D World is now, there were bundles for 3D Land, and people were buying the bundles. So that's how they were increasing the base that came with the game. Because NPD doesn't track those types of things, it seemed like it wasn't selling that well, much like 3D World is now. Like right now, a lot of places they're counting the physical copies. Well, I can tell you right now, technically speaking, I didn't buy 3D World the disc because I downloaded it off of the eShop, and it's #1 on the eShop, which means people that already own Wii U's are getting it, and people are downloading it. A shocking concept. People are buying Wii's and downloading it rather than buying the CD. I mean the disc. Amazing. But you'll hear from people, it's not selling well, it's not selling well, it's not selling well. People who say that, first of all, don't know what in the hell they're talking about. 3, to compare it to Super Mario Sunshine, where everything was physical medium, and Super Mario Galaxy, where it wasn't downloadable. See, the game has changed. Things are downloadable now, okay? For example, I didn't buy Wind Waker HD, the disc. I downloaded it. I downloaded it day one, on like 2 weeks before it came out physically, on the Wii U eShop. That's right. Yes, I did. Now, that leads me to my second point. Now, once Super Mario 3D World came out, the Wii U, which had already, the momentum had begun to change earlier in the fall, in September, when Pikmin 3 and Wonderful 101 came out. The momentum had begun to change. We were beginning to see the beginning of a fantastical change. Things were changing. Things were different. Things were getting better. But that's not all. 3DS has, that people once said was going to be destroyed by iPhones and iPads and smartphone devices, which is a joke, really, because they're two different experiences. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I have downloaded Chrono Trigger. I bought Chrono Trigger in the App Store, and I played it on my smartphone. It's not nearly as much fun as, say, playing on a handheld. Okay, I've done all of these things, and it's still not. You don't get that same level of control that you get from a handheld gaming device, a dedicated handheld gaming device. And people who continue to say that, well, smartphone gaming and tablet gaming is going to destroy the handheld market, is asinine. It's a backwards statement to make. Okay, it's backwards. It's stupid. And frankly speaking, people who say it don't know what in the hell they're talking about. They're speaking out of their ass. The people who are saying this are people who don't know anything about gaming in reality. Okay, it's people who, well, I play Angry Birds. I play Peggle. Now, there's nothing wrong with Angry Birds. There's nothing wrong with Peggle. There's nothing wrong with Sudoku, electronic Sudoku. But these aren't games in the traditional terms, okay? When someone says game to me, a handheld game, the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh, Tetris, or Super Mario Land for the Game Boy, or Super Mario Land 2, or Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land, or Super Wario Land 2. I mean, those are handheld games, or Link's Awakening DX. I mean, some junk that could easily be on a computer, as a free-to-play game, on a on a gaming website. That's not a handheld game. You just scaled it down for a touchscreen. That's not a handheld game, though. So that's just how I feel. So, you hear people say this, and I've discussed why they're wrong. But let's get into the bigger argument. Why people are so fixated on Gloom and Doom for Nintendo. And I'll tell you the reason why from three perspectives. In terms of from the media, it's fun to pick on the king, okay? Hands down, the company that won last console generation was Nintendo. Hands down. Now, Nintendo had the weakest console, the most shovelware on their console, but their console was very casual friendly, and a lot of people picked it up in droves. Okay, my grandfather, he's dead now, but when he was alive, I used to drive him over to the senior center where he'd do senior citizen activities, and they had a Wii. And one day I went over there with him, and I had the day off, had nothing really to do, and we played Wii bowling. My grandfather, some other old people, we just played Wii bowling for like 2 hours straight. I mean, that Nintendo did that, okay? That's a memory that I have because of Nintendo, okay? I could not get that from Xbox 360 or the PS3, okay? Despite the PS3 having that Wiimote with the disco ball on the end. because, you know, Sony is so innovative. So very innovative. But anyway, it's fun to pick on the king. It's the reason why people like to, you know, it's the reason why the media likes to harp on the presidents and, you know, dignitaries and royalty, and, you know, the media is always entranced with someone on top falling to the bottom. They like seeing that. The thing is that Nintendo, even when they were on top and competing directly against other companies, have always done their own thing. They don't play Nintendo, and that leads me to my second point as to why people love to harp on Nintendo and have these doom and glooms about Nintendo. Because, you know, I'm thinking to make another video discussing how media outlets have continuously said Nintendo is doomed every console generation. The first Nintendo, the SNES, the N64, the GameCube, the Wii, and now the Wii U. Basically, every time you turn around, we're getting gloom and doom stories about how Nintendo is doomed. Western corporations don't operate like Nintendo. They have no idea how Nintendo is able to survive without ballooning up their budgets, without spending shitloads of money to kick the legs out from under their competitors, without doing dirty marketing practices like Microsoft. When Nintendo had their bringing E3 to you at the Best Buys, which I went to one. Yes, I did. I took a day off from work, and, well, I work at night anyway, but still, I took a day off at work because it didn't start till like 5 or 4 o'clock. I went, and I basically just, I played Nintendo games. I did not go to work that day. I just sat in line and played Super Mario Kart, and New Super Mario Brothers, and Wind Waker, and Mario Kart. I mean, I played those games. And you know what? I mean, I didn't see a Microsoft representative try and bogart the stuff, but I've seen the videos where a Microsoft dude tried to bogart a Nintendo thing, and that's dirty marketing. That is dirty marketing. Okay? Not to mention how all of Nintendo's innovations that, well, Nintendo's innovations really are innovations. I don't know why I said that. Basically, like, Microsoft and Sony come out with the same thing about 2 or 3 months later, and the Western media and, you know, news, oh, this is so innovative. You stole that shit from Nintendo, you mofo, you know? I mean, that's what I want to say, but, you know, I can't because, you know, I'm sour graping, you know, somehow I'm being cruel to Western companies, and Sony, which is becoming more westernized as the days go by. So, I mean, you have westernized companies that, I mean, they're competing in their minds against a company that doesn't act like they do and is still ahead. Nintendo doesn't balloon their budget, as I said. They aren't spending out of their butts to undercut their competition like that. They do their own thing, and they still make money. Rather than Microsoft and Sony imitating Nintendo in that regards, let's do our own thing and not try and compete against each other, just make our own markets. They don't. Instead, they play media hype masters, which hype the hell out of features that aren't even on the systems, that won't be there for 4 months to 6 months to a year after the systems come out. Which I'm going to tell you right now, if I got an SNES and they said, oh, it's a 16-bit system, but it won't have 16-bit games on it until a year into it, I would have been very PO'd. But Nintendo doesn't do that. Nintendo gives you fair market value, unlike Sony and Microsoft. They can't deal with that. I mean, it's basically like fighting a dude. It's like a boxer training against another boxer, and one boxer trains in like the traditional, you know, taking steroids and running and, you know, shadow boxing and hitting the body bag and stuff, and the other boxer trains in some Eastern meditations type way, and the other boxer, the one who does the unconventional style of training, is still kicking behind and undefeated. You can't deal with that type of out-of-the-box thinking and still, you know, and deal with it. So that leads me to my third point. the gamers, okay? Many gamers have bought into the BS media hype catchphrases and bandwagon fallacies that have been basically spouted by these companies. You know, Xbox One is next gen. Xbox One is the only video gaming system you'll ever need, even though it can't play 360 games, which is asinine. That's a very stupid tagline if it can't do everything. Now the PS3 really could do everything. Initially, it could play PS2 games. It was a Blu-ray player. It could play PS3 games. You could stream internet to it. It was really an everything machine, and then Sony, got rid of all that because it was too expensive. Personally, I'd rather it have backwards compatibility with a PS2 than have a Blu-ray player, but that's my own personal opinion because I don't have a lot of Blu-rays. Netflix renders Blu-ray players irrelevant, basically. But, the fans bought into that BS. Sony fans have bought into the BS that the PS4 is a PS3 with more memory, that's more powerful, that can render stuff that's easier to program for. That's basically what it is. Nothing really revolutionary about it. I mean, it's just a more powerful system. It's basically like going from a standard definition to a high definition, except the leap isn't even that great. It's like going from 1080p to 1200p. You can't even really see a difference at this point. The next gen games only look marginally better than they did last gen. Developers are having major difficulties making games for these easier to program for systems. The hype. So the fans who were hyped up and are disappointed have to find something to harp on the competition with, because Nintendo didn't promise that. Nintendo said, this is our next generation of system. Our games will look better than they ever did. Super Mario 3D World looks better than Galaxy. Okay, it looks better than Galaxy. The gameplay is just as tight, if not in some ways tighter than Galaxy. They delivered what they promised. Okay, they delivered what they promised. Now, we're seeing a case of sour graping from other companies and their fanboys and the media. But ultimately, Nintendo will be fine, okay? Nintendo will turn around the Wii U. Will it sell Wii numbers? No. But the 3DS isn't going to sell DS numbers, but it's selling pretty damn well. So, that tells you something. And we're going to see just how smug these Sony fans, Sony ponies, and Xbot drones are, Xbots are when the drought hits them, because there will be a gaming drought, okay? There will be a gaming drought, and then we and Nintendo fans will be able to say, hey man, you got no games! Where the games, son? So basically when that happens, we'll laugh our asses off and call it a day. But until then, this is my video, and you can check the details for the articles I mentioned in the descriptions. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I might have 2 more videos coming out today, so stay tuned.